I warned you! Stay in your lane!
Get down on your knees, young man. Hands behind your back now. Officer Davis violently forced Elijah Cole, the black groom, onto the chapel floor. Should have minded your own business, he sneered as the handcuffs clamped down, drawing blood. 4 officers, led by Lieutenant Sterling, had stormed the Vineyard Chapel at 4:39 p.m., shouting charges of fraud and conspiracy. Mrs. Cole, Elijah's mother, collapsed. His bride, Amelia Thorne, screamed. Sterling then faced the aisle where County Sheriff Marcus Thorne, Amelia's father and the officer's boss, was walking his daughter toward them. Every officer froze. Arresting a man at his own wedding was one thing. Doing it in front of the sheriff's daughter was an entirely different crisis. The warrants were a lie, but the true criminals would be exposed. Stay for justice. Comment if you're angry. Subscribe for receipts. 3 hours earlier, Elijah, a successful engineer who built his company on the integrity his late father, Mr. Cole, taught him, was merely anticipating his wedding. He had paid off his mother's medical debts and built the life his father dreamed of. Amelia, a third-grade teacher and the sheriff's daughter, had met Elijah 2 years ago. She respected his dedication to community and design integrity, refusing to use her father's name to advance. She drove an old car and paid her own rent, insisting, "I need to be known for what I do, not who my father is." Sheriff Thorne respected Elijah, having warned him 8 months earlier, "You treat her right or you answer to me." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Sterling, known for his high arrest numbers and racial profiling complaints, ran the patrol division. The county's construction contracts worth millions were usually monopolized by Victor Stone's company. This monopoly ended when Elijah won the $1.8 million library renovation contract with a superior bid and score. What would you do if you finally beat the Goliath in your industry? Elijah shared his triumph with his mother, unaware of the threat forming. Sterling had been watching his office, and Amelia's father was asking questions about Elijah's business, curious why his lieutenant was so interested. At 3 p.m., Sheriff Thorne put on his suit, preparing for family time. 4 miles away, at 3:15 p.m., Lieutenant Sterling prepared his dress uniform and briefed his team, Officers Davis, Stone, and Blake. "We go in at 4:39 p.m., maximum witnesses, maximum public impact. Make it clean, make it memorable, make it a lesson." By 4:30 p.m., the ceremony began. Elijah, standing at the altar with his best man, Lionel, felt only overwhelming emotion. As the music swelled and Amelia and Sheriff Thorne began their walk, the utility doors slammed open at 4:31 p.m. Sterling and his men strode in, targeting Elijah, their boots thumping on the hardwood floor. The officers encircled Elijah. Reverend Green's protests were cut short. Sterling read the charges over the rising panic. As Officer Davis moved in with the handcuffs, Amelia screamed and broke free from her father's grip. Davis roughly handcuffed Elijah, shoving him to his knees and crushing his boot in the air, saying, "Should have stayed in your lane, boy." Mrs. Cole collapsed. Sterling displayed the warrant. Sheriff Thorne, still in the aisle, controlled his fury, demanding to see the document. He noticed the impossible detail. The warrant was signed by Judge Morrison at 2:49 p.m., yet Thorne knew the judge was 25 miles away in court until 3:15 p.m. This warrant is fraudulent, Thorne realized. He tried to assert his authority, guaranteeing Elijah would surrender Monday, but Sterling refused, citing his orders and the law. What would you do in the sheriff's position? Interfere or follow procedure? Thorne, caught between his duty and his family, ultimately stepped aside, warning, "This isn't over, Lieutenant. Not even close." Elijah was yanked up and marched down the aisle in a humiliating perp walk. He was shoved into the patrol car. The last thing he saw through the window was Amelia collapsed on the chapel steps. Elijah, locked in a cell, used his one call to speak with a sobbing Amelia, trying to promise he would fix what they had lost. What would you say in that final 5-minute call? Comment below. By 10:30 p.m., Sheriff Thorne arrived at the jail and, facing Chief Dixon, exposed the physically impossible timestamp on the warrant. Dixon dismissed it, but Thorne insisted, "The system is broken, Harold, and I'm going to prove it." Thorne immediately hired an attorney, Robert Davis, who woke Judge Wells. By Sunday morning, Judge Wells confirmed the fraud, releasing Elijah on his own recognizance. She ordered Sterling and the assistant DA to produce a comprehensive report on the warrant's creation. Investigative journalist Rachel Torres soon noticed the financial pattern. Victor Stone's monopoly, 89% of contracts, started exactly when Sterling was promoted. Torres cross-referenced Sterling's arrest with contract awards, finding a chilling sequence. Every time Sterling arrested a minority contractor, like Marcus Williams, Isaiah Johnson, or Terrence Davis, Stone won that contract. Torres then secured county emails and discovered the shocking communication between Sterling and Victor Stone, confirming the premeditated conspiracy to target Elijah and ruin his wedding for maximum impact. This evidence, including Sterling's offshore bank deposits totaling $346,000 linked to Stone's contract wins, became public record, proving the lieutenant took bribes to target black contractors. The news was devastating. Elijah's license was suspended, his major contracts were canceled, and his employees quit. Amelia was reassigned from her classroom. The system was fighting back. Elijah found strength by connecting with the 6 other contractors Sterling had targeted. They all agreed to fight back. "I swore I'd never let them beat me," Elijah declared at a community town hall. "I'm not staying in my lane. I'm staying in this fight." The community rallied, and a petition was submitted to the FBI and the Department of Justice. In a dramatic turning point, Officer Jenny Blake, who knew Sterling was dirty, secured immunity and provided the FBI with photographic evidence and audio recordings. The recordings confirmed the conspiracy. Judge Theodore Morrison, Victor Stone's brother, signed the fraudulent papers, Sterling arrested the targets, and Stone secured the contracts, splitting the money. The FBI raided 8 locations, arresting 12 people, including Sterling, Stone, and Judge Morrison. At an emergency hearing, Sheriff Thorne, admitting his own failing, recommended a full federal audit and police reform. The commission voted in favor of the reforms. Sterling, Stone, and Judge Morrison were later sentenced to federal prison. 3 months later, Elijah and Amelia married in a small courthouse ceremony. Anderson Engineering fully rebuilt. The 6 contractors formed the Anderson Initiative to support minority-owned businesses. Sheriff Thorne announced his retirement. The system was exposed, changed, and rebuilt. From the other side of silence, toss stories, where real voices rise and truth finds its echo. Like, subscribe, and share this story, because justice stories must be told.